So in Hacksaw Ridge, in order of most pressure, who are the five top most pressure jobs on the job?
Well, I'd say the director is probably under the most pressure because it's really,
Mhm.
he's making all the decisions. So I'd say that the producer, I'm always feeling an immense amount of pressure when I'm on set. So there's not a lot of time to sort of take it all in and be grateful, I talk about being grateful. That's when I really need to sort of take a step back because I'm so immersed in the moment and I'm so focused on what the issues are that I have to deal with that it can be very intense. And also you're not sleeping much and you're just working successive days. The days are sort of bleeding in to each other. You're not really eating right. You're maybe sleeping in a hotel bed, so you're not getting the best sleep. So this really kind of tests everybody's, metal a little bit. Um, I'd say the cinematographer, that's a pretty intense job because he's got to make sure the image is going to be perfect. Um, that there are no issues with the image, right? So that's not something that you can go back and redo necessarily. Sometimes
You
you
mean the
can,
cameraman?
but if you're yeah, the cinematographer, he's got to
Yeah.
make sure that everything he's doing is going to be right. A lot of things can be fixed in post production. The sound guy, there's a guy that's got a really important job. You can't go back and get the sound again, right? So it's everything that you can't redo. Now, you can loop sound, that's true, but you have to make sure that you get the ambient sound when you're at the location because that's hard to recreate. So there are all these little things you have to make sure you're grabbing when you're in the location. So establishing shots is another thing that you run into. It's like filmmakers sometimes aren't thinking, "Oh yeah, get a wide shot or get an establishing." I've run into this on films before. And before we leave the location, I'll say, did you get the establishing shot? Make sure you've got everything you need. Because if we don't have all the pieces, we're not going to be able to fix anything. So those things are nerve wracking. Making sure the picture's right, make sure the sound's right. Just making sure all the technical aspects are correct. I'd say those are really the important positions on the film. um, the guy that's spending the money. So that could be a studio executive, that could be an independent financier, that could be the executive producer. He's nervous because he's watching hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars of his money being spent. So that guy's probably pretty nervous too. So those are probably the pressure positions on the film.
So when does the pressure come off? After the Rotten Tomato reviews, or I don't know where people look for the reviews. Is that when, like, if you see like 7 out of 10 on IMDb 1 year later, for me that's the pressure's off.
Well, you want the film to be, financially successful too. So we can't
Yeah.
we can't lose sight of that because, in the film business, you've got, there are different measuring sticks for success. So yeah, you rightfully say that, I mean, I'm a creative producer, so the first measure of success for me that is that the film that I made is, it works creatively, right? And that people, it works for me, and not only for me, but most importantly, it works for the audience. Okay, so not even so much for critics, although you want critics to embrace the film, but you really want the audience to be the ones who embrace the film. Okay, because there's, critics, especially with comedies, you'll have one critic review. Comedy is so subjective, so it's hard to rely on a critic's opinion about a comedy. But yeah, you want everybody to embrace the film. And, does the pressure ever really come off? I mean, I think somebody said once, oh gosh, who was it? I can't remember who said it, but a famous producer said, yeah, if I don't look nervous and worried, I'm not doing my job. Right. So I think that, yeah, maybe when the film comes out and it's been well reviewed and it's making a lot of money, maybe then I can take a deep breath. But you gotta understand, like, I'm the kind of professional who's so hard charging and wants everything to be so great and trying to go over the top with everything I'm doing that it's hard to finally get to that point where I sort of relax and just let it all go. But once the opening weekend hits and the film's either a success or not a success, I think that's the point where you exhale and either move on to the next one, or take stock in your success and try to replicate it, I guess. So
Yeah. Oops. So approximately how many hours a week are you working on movies?
I'm working all day and night long. So I don't have any kids, and I have a girlfriend, but I'm not married. So I'll take a night or two off to have dinner with her, or something like that. We're going away this weekend. We're going to take a trip out of town, but and I'll be working on the plane. I'll be working when we get to where we're going. So I'm gonna be, yeah. I mean, look, it's not. I'm not. This is not. I don't work in a coal mine. I'm not lifting heavy boxes. This is not hard labor. Okay, so I'm not complaining about the work. But yeah, the work's going on all day and night long. And it's again, it's not work that I'm not into doing necessarily. If I have to do a lot of reading, screenplays or whatever, that's work. Yeah. If I have to watch a movie that I'm not really into watching, but I have to watch it because I need to know what's going on, with movies, I'll watch it, and that feels like work. Um, but if it's a movie that I'm enjoying, now all of a sudden it becomes a little more of enjoyment instead of work. And
Mhm.
and so, so again, my work is not that intense like other people's work. I'm not an accountant. I'm not just working the numbers. It's a little more creative. It's a little more interesting. So yeah, I'm working. Like after this interview, I'll go on my walk. I'll work out. I'll come back. I'll work again for a few hours. I'll have dinner, come back, work again. Till bedtime. But that's basically how it goes. It's going all day long. In my case, it's all day long.
So it sounds like 70 or 80 hours a week, but that's understandable because your work and your hobbies are sort of blurred together. So you
Right.
you enjoy what you're doing. So it's not really work. It's
Right.
just your hobby.